So in this part of the lesson we're going to look at absolute and relative cell referencing. So let's start with what relative cell referencing is versus absolute cell referencing. If you think of the word relative, means in relation to, that there's a relationship to. So if I say absolute, that means it's stuck or it's fixed on. Now we're going to have a look here, and I'm going to demonstrate again a formula that we've talked about before. So if I go equals, so this cell equals times 100, equals 100 A4 times 0.15, I'm going to count that to me calculating the GST. 0.15 is 15%. So that's one way I can calculate the GST amount. Now when I click and drag this black box here, it will auto calculate. And so if you look at this cell, it calculates A5 times 0.15. This one goes A6 times 0.15. A7 times 0.15, and so forth. So the fact that it's automatically assumed A5, A6, A7, and A8, that's what's called relative cell referencing. So this sheet has picked up that there's a relationship in terms of when I done this drag down thing here, it picked up that relationship. Now, absolute cell referencing is something that's quite important because sometimes it can get a little bit annoying with the worksheet doing the relative cell referencing, which is meant to be quite helpful for us. So let's say if instead I'm going to go equals 100 and instead times 15%. So I'll still get 15 like I did last time, but watch what happens when I click this black box. Notice how the figures aren't the same, and that's because it's done the relative cell referencing. And let's have a look what it's done here. So it's done that right. So A4 times B1. But look what happens when I go here. A5, which is right, times B2. So it's actually gone down one. Let's try again. It's gone down another, and it's gone down another, and so forth. And that's why this one's showing 6,000, because it's going 400 times 15 instead of 400 times 15%. So how do we avoid absolute cell referencing? Now this is what we're going to learn in this lesson. This is normally done with a dollar sign. So if I put a dollar sign here, the dollar sign will mean that any autofill that I do will make sure that it's only stuck at B. So let's see what happens here. You'll notice it's still the same now. You're probably wondering why is it still the same? The reason why it's still the same is because I also need to do a dollar sign here for the 1. And so what this does is that wherever the dollar sign's in front of, it locks only that part. So it's locked just the B, but it hasn't locked the row, which is the 1. So let's try that again. Now that we've got that locked in. And there you go. So let's have a look here. Locked into B1, locked into B1, locked into B1, locked into B1. So let's have a look here, the effect that that can actually have. So if I locked in 4, what do you think will happen? Let's see. It doesn't change. It locks it in at 4. But if we remove that lock and autofill, you'll have the other figure. So that's the difference between relative and absolute cell referencing.